You've survived a course and you're extremely proud of the A you have in the class. All seems well until your professor brings up the inevitable, the exam. While many students have their own preferred study method, few students actually know how to study in a really organized way. Today, I will be demonstrating a simple 4-step plan to an organized study preparation. The first step to organized studying is to gather your materials. You're likely going to want a pen, a highlighter, blank notebook paper for any notes that you may need to take down, a folder to keep all your information together, index cards, Post-it notes, and of course, your textbook. Index cards are really great for making flashcards for tests that require a lot of vocabulary. In a Washington Post article by Valerie Strauss, it is reported that index cards are one of the most effective ways of studying because they allow students to test themselves. Post-it notes are also good for bookmarking and making notes within your textbook. You've gathered your materials and now you need to decide what you're going to be studying. So the next step to an organized study plan is to print off or review any study guides that your professor may have provided for you. After you do this, it's wise to go through and highlight or underline anything that you personally want to focus on when studying. It's also a good idea to make note of anything that was repeated a lot throughout the course because that's likely to be on the exam. Once you have your information, this is the point where it would be a good idea to make note cards. These are super simple to make. You're just going to put the term or statistic or name on the back of the index card, and then the coinciding definition or answer on the front of the index card. This is where you can also break out your Post-it notes to bookmark or make notes within your textbook. You've gathered your materials and you know what you're going to be studying, and this is where most students' study plan comes to an abrupt halt. However, there are several more steps to a really organized study plan. In the Global Post web article by Amy Sterling Castle, it is reported by the American College Health Association that 33% of students struggle with time management pressure. To combat this, it's a good idea to write down a schedule for yourself to study. You can do this with a calendar or a planner, whichever you choose. And once you choose which method you'd like to use, you need to fill up the calendar or planner with your personal schedules, your work schedule, your class schedule, and any activities or events that you will need to attend throughout that week or month or however you decide to break it up. Once you do that, it's a good idea to go through and decide where it would be most convenient for you to study. You need to write down the day and the time and hold yourself accountable to that. To-do lists may seem trivial, but they are actually very effective in helping students to study, as reported by Youth Central in the article Top 10 Study Tips. So whichever method you decide to use, the planner, the calendar, or a to-do list, make sure you write all the information down and hold yourself accountable, because the last step to an organized study plan will not come until several weeks into your study process. After you've studied for a decent amount of time, it's a good idea to make a list of the things that you're really confident in knowing, the concepts and topics that you're fairly familiar with, and then also things that you're still kind of struggling with. Chadron State College Learning Center reports that you should study information you're very comfortable with for 1/4 of the original study time. This will just help to keep the information fresh within your mind throughout your study process. The same learning center also reports that students can forget up to 80% of what they've learned in just 2 weeks without frequent review. For this reason, frequent studying is essential to success. It's the morning of your exam, you have 15 minutes until you leave for class, and you decide to break out your note cards. You breeze through them without any doubt, and you know you're going to be fine on your exam, all because you've spent the weeks prior preparing with 4 simple study